Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Lisa, Lydia, Scott here on this October 27th morning. Officially feels like winter.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about the snow and the cold temperatures. First, want to remind you, of course, we love it when you join us every weekday morning. We're live on Facebook in the 8 o'clock hour. We make it into a podcast when we're done. If that's where you'd like to listen, you can find it at inform.com/podcast. Just look for the Inform Minute on our Inform YouTube channel. And, of course, every weekday morning live on WDAY from 5 to 7. And this morning was a busy morning. Actually, the last several days tracking this storm, but we woke up just a little bit of snow here in Fargo-Moorhead.
Sure did. Walking in a winter wonderland and let it snow has been playing in my head all morning long. So picked up some snow overnight. Actually started as rain yesterday. Had some heavy rain around 9 p.m. last night. Picked up about a ½ inch of just rain. And then we did switch over to snow overnight. And around an inch is what we're looking at for the Fargo-Moorhead Metro. Maybe 2 inches in a couple of spots. Had a lot of melting on impact as temperatures were about 33, 34 as that snow was initially coming down. Then the temperature did drop. Our drive this morning was slushy and slick. It was snowing. We definitely drove in the worst of it. Folks this morning are facing better conditions. Still going to be wet and slippery, especially your bridges, intersections, on and off ramps. All of those notorious spots will be slick this morning. So continue to watch out for those, especially with the wind out of the west-northwest, 15 to 25, gusting 30 to 35 this morning, and that's sending in colder air, keeping temps just below that freezing point all day long. They're really not rising much today. We'll work in maybe a couple peaks of sun this afternoon, and any little bit of sunshine with an October sun angle will help to melt away the snow.
It'll also help my mood.
That's true, yes. It will help the Friday vibe this afternoon. We have the October sun angle working in our favor this time of year. It's not like we have a January sun angle. So if we can get some sun, even with the temp below freezing, we'll do a little bit of melting. Areas to our north, northwest picked up much more snow than we did here in Fargo. National Weather Service said at 4 a.m. that they had 4.6, so final total will be probably close to 5 inches in the Grand Forks area. One of the highest reports I saw comes from Forest River, North Dakota, which is in south central Walsh County, a little to the northwest of Grand Forks. 9.5 inches there.
Wow.
That's a lot of snow.
Yeah, it is.
That's a lot of snow. That's snowblower snow.
Yep.
You're not shoveling that. If you are, Godspeed. Good luck. Take it slow because it's a heavy wet snow.
Yeah, I was just going to say that even with a snowblower, it's really heavy.
Yes,
Right.
That's what happens when temps are right near that freezing point. As it's coming down, it can't decide if it wants to be a raindrop or a snowflake, and so it's a wet kind of snowflake. When you're really cold, when we get snow, when it's 0 degrees, that's when you're going to have your dry, fluffy stuff. It is a good thing that it is wet and heavy because otherwise it'd be blowing around, making it hard to see. We could borderline have blizzard conditions if it wasn't a wet, heavy snow. So you win some, you lose some.
There's
you know?
a silver lining.
Yes. Road conditions, they'll talk about it. They are up on our Storm Tracker app, though. That's a quick, easy way to just go look at what you're facing if you are trying to do any town-to-town traveling. Main line here, snow is done for the day. We're not picking up any more snow. It's just going to be windy and cold, and we're going to be cleaning up today. Off and on flurries through the weekend. Temps near 32 about every single afternoon. Halloween looks cold. Temp to 31 that afternoon. Sunset, of course, will bring colder temps. So if you're headed out to trick or treat, I think we're looking at upper 20s.
Ooh, yeah. Gonna need the jacket.
Last year it was 70 on Halloween.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was my son's first Halloween, and so easy to take a baby out when it's 70 degrees. This year's gonna be nuts. So fun.
Yeah, have to bundle them up.
Yeah. No big snowstorms in the forecast though for now.
Well, that's
so. We'll get this one cleaned up, and we do have our Storm Tracker live blog going on inform.com. It's free for everyone, so you don't have to be a member to read it. I updated it this morning. Dylan is going to update it about midday with kind of the final snow totals. Just as folks have been waking up this morning, we've been getting more reports, so we'll get more of those final tallies in, and then he'll have that updated by about midday. So keep an eye on that if you want updated snow totals.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay, thanks.
And as she was talking about, keeping up to date on the weather and those snow totals,
Yeah.
we talked about this a lot. That Storm Tracker weather app,
gotta
it was great kind of tracking the snow and the rain and the line, looking at the live radar, but it is free. You can get those up to the minute, hour by hour forecasts. Also, we've been talking about the road conditions quite a bit this morning. For a while when we woke up, it was no travel advised in a good section of western North Dakota.
There was a lot of that, a lot of purple for those travel alerts on the map. I believe all of those no travel advisories have been lifted, at least as of a little bit ago here. You never know. But things are getting better, but that doesn't mean you should just be driving the normal speed. Give yourself extra time. Things are going to be slushy, slick, wet at least for a while as things dry out and melt. So just keep that in mind. Don't go too fast.
There was a lot of yellow still on the road maps, which means icy conditions. And I know Lydia did see one car that slid off of I-94, I believe, and into the ditch. And then during First News, there was an accident on I-29 just north of Harwood as well. So, there are accidents already. Slick spots pop up, and also we're not used to driving.
Yeah, it's the first snowstorm of the season. You got to get ready and realize, we've got to change how we're driving here a little bit. So just keep that in mind. Stay safe. We don't want anyone getting hurt. So.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into some of our other news headlines this morning. Today, a man arrested for a Fargo shooting is expected in court. 30-year-old Kyle Ochoa will go in front of a judge. He's facing charges for attempted murder and aggravated assault. We're learning a lot more about this story. It's a story we broke on First News, but we now have the court documents, and so we've been digging into them. We initially just had heard, the woman was shot several times. We now know 6 times she was shot, and she told police that the person who shot her was Ochoa, her boyfriend. Police say they found the woman, Jacqueline Swenson, covered in blood outside an apartment on the 3rd floor of the Bill Meyer. That's kind of close to the Plain Arts Museum. And we're also learning this. So, we were wondering, police said serious injuries. We have now learned she was shot twice in her right shoulder, twice in her left thigh, and twice in her lower right leg. So pretty significant, serious injuries.
Wow. All right, today, Minnesota Congressman Dean Phillips is expected to formally announce his campaign for president, challenging Joe Biden in the Democratic primaries. The 3-term congressman recently left his House Democratic leadership position because of his frustration that there was no other Democrat challenging President Biden. Phillips has argued that Biden would be a weak general election candidate because of his age and low approval ratings. If you don't know, Phillips represents Minnesota's 3rd district in Congress. That includes most of the western suburbs of the Twin Cities.
Altru and Grand Forks has some bragging rights this morning. They've earned national recognition for being one of the nation's most wired facilities. According to the organization that gave them that honor, it means Altru excels in providing excellent patient care while working to reinvent healthcare for a new century. A survey was conducted on the hospital by the College of Healthcare Information Management Services, or CHIME for short. They say the hospital outranked their peers in categories like population health, infrastructure, and patient engagement.
All right, anyone who still needs a flu shot, you can do that today. Today, Fargo Cass Public Health hosting a flu shot clinic. It'll be at the main public health building on 25th Street. That's next to CVS. Flu shots are being given on a walk-in basis. You just show up, go in, and they'll do that for you. Anyone 6 months and older can attend. Clinic is open from 8 this morning, so about 15 minutes now the doors have been open. They'll be open till 4 o'clock. If you go, make sure to bring your health insurance and Medicaid information, things like that.
Lydia said this morning, and it was so right on. You're going to have to clear the snow off of some of those football bleachers today. We are, of course, in playoff season for North Dakota high school football, and that means we have a quarterfinals edition of WDAY's Game of the Week. The Bismarck Century Patriots are taking on the Cheyenne Mustangs tonight, and we're going to have that on WDAY Extra. Kickoff is at 7. Our game on WDAY Plus, the Grand Forks Central Knights and the Fargo South Bruins. That game also starts at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, bring the hot cocoa. Make sure you got the big coats, the mittens, the hats. But I kind of like snow games. They're kind of fun and something about it. So, all right, this week also NDSU playing at home. Welcoming in Missouri Valley Football Conference newcomer Murray State. The Bison are 5-2, sitting at a tie for 3rd in the conference standings in the Missouri Valley. Of course, you can watch that game on WDAY. Coverage is going to start at 2:20 tomorrow, kickoff at 2:30. We also have the hour-long pregame show going on to get you ready for the big game. That's from 10 to 11 tomorrow morning on WDAY, so make sure to tune in for all the football action.
And another big story we're tracking, breaking story, the suspect in those 2 mass shootings in Maine, that suspect still at large, considered armed and dangerous. But we are learning more about 40-year-old Robert Card. He's now facing 8 counts of murder. That number is expected to jump to at least 18 as more victims are identified. Yesterday, law enforcement officers went into his home.
Yes.
So we do know that he was not there, but of course they're learning a lot, and we're hoping to learn more from what they found. Massive investigation. 350 law enforcement officers are now involved in this, and I know you kind of dug into it a little bit more this morning. The the search area is growing.
Yeah, it's like 50 miles essentially around that area, and I mean, sure, all law enforcement are alerted to what's happening, of course, but the main search area is about a 50-mile radius near Lewiston. That's where the shooting happened at two separate places. Businesses, schools there remaining closed today as a precaution. And now, besides all of that, the U.S. is honoring those who have lost their lives in the tragedy. President Biden has ordered flags to be flown at half staff until Monday.
All right, so big story still ongoing. We'll continue to track that for you. All right, we already kind of talked about football, but just want to remind you, Hot Mic with Dom Izzo is coming up here from 9 to 11. Big Football Friday show on tap. We'll check in with the North Dakota 9-man quarterfinals, talking about who will move on to next week's semifinals, and of course talking about NDSU and UND as well. Big games this weekend.
Lots of football going on. And then don't forget, for 99 cents a month for your first 3 months, you can get an all-access pass to inform.com. Just go to inform.com/subscribe and you can get that deal.
Our next newscast coming up at 11 this morning. Like Lydia mentioned, we're going to have updated snow totals and kind of see what the weekend looks like after the snow is all done.
Yeah.
Cold, I think, is kind
I was
of
gonna
you
say.
should still watch, but cold. And then this afternoon we have you covered 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 leading into the weekend.
Yeah, and then watch First News throughout the weekend to get updates on the weather and all the events going on in the region. Until then, have a great day, folks. Bye-bye.